And welcome to the third hour of American Agenda, everyone. I'm Allison Maloney.
And I'm Bob Sellers, tackling the day's stories in a new and interesting way here on Newsmax, joined by our family of co-hosts, attorney and former prosecutor Amir Benno, along with criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Vinu Varghese. And I think we wanted to talk about, we have the 4th of July coming up. It is kind of a different one. We're going to see the president headed to South Dakota today. It's going to be a massive 4th of July celebration at Mount Rushmore. And, of course, this is amid growing calls for Mount Rushmore and other U.S. monuments to be removed because of their controversial history. Now, President Trump has been an outspoken critic of those who have vandalized, tried to tear down the statues. In fact, they tried to go out. I think they had a video of the guy that was trying to tear down the Andrew Jackson statue in Lafayette Park across from the White House. That guy's under arrest. He's in big trouble. Could go away for a while. So, Vanu, give me your feel right now when we see the cancel culture attacking something like Mount Rushmore. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a big mistake. I think President Trump in this case, and I've been a critic of President Trump, is actually correct here. I don't think you go back and destroy statutes. Now, people in power can make certain decisions.
Right.
So it's a little different with something like Mount Rushmore versus a Confederate statue or a Confederate flag, like the flag of Mississippi or something along those lines. Governor Haley took down a Confederate
of the state house
emblem years ago.
Right.
I mean, so those are different things. You got to ask yourself, well, why are these Confederate flags up when the South lost, the Confederacy lost the Civil War many years ago? But statues of people like Jackson, I mean, these are important people in American history. So none of this makes sense. If you don't like it, you should talk about it or present something separate along those lines to have a counterbalance if you want that.
Yeah.
But then what you leave yourself to is the flavor of the week.
Yeah,
right?
and
So that's the problem with this movement to tear down.
Yeah,
things.
I think Ben Carson had even said, don't tear down these statues, keep them in historical context. And if you want to, you can add some statues that honor certain African American leaders, but don't just take away history. So, Amir, the thing that I do appreciate about what they did in Mississippi and Nikki Haley, as you were mentioning, Vanu, is that they went through the proper process. They didn't just go throw a rope around it, burn it, pull it down. They actually changed the understanding of what they wanted from the community.
Yeah, well, that's the way that you're supposed to do it, right? You have a legal process.
Exactly.
And
or pay the price. If you want to tear something down, that's fine. But if you get arrested, you've got problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's promoting this sort of vigilante justice where people deface and vandalize property, somehow exalting that to be a thing worthy of our esteem is a problem. And, I think it's wonderful that the president is going to Mount Rushmore. Don't forget, they've got a huge monument carved out of rock about 3 times as big as the profiles of the president's faces, about 17 miles away from Mount Rushmore. It's a crazy horse.
Yeah.
So they have built a monument. And, there does come a point where you say, look, every land, and America's, historically speaking, not been around for that long. Manhattan was bought from the Indian tribe for $24. And so, what are we going to do? Uproot everybody in the New York Times, hopefully being the first building, and send them back overseas to Great Britain just because we're here? I mean, we should celebrate American history. We should follow the law, and we shouldn't vandalize and deface property.
Yeah, Allie?
Bob, I wonder, and I agree with both our guests, is how far does it go? And again, if you are upset with something, then you follow the proper channels. You get with your local leaders, you talk about it, and you ask to have it taken down. But we have monuments, we have flags, but now we have street signs. Are those the next to go? So I wonder, where do we stop?
Yeah. Do you change Washington, D.C. To a different thing? Do you get rid of the Thomas Jefferson Memorial? I went to Thomas Jefferson's University of Virginia. We have imperfect people in our past that have helped us build a more perfect union. And in fact, the institutions they put in place have allowed us to even have these protests. I mean, our founders, by the way, some of whom had slaves, created the scenario in which people literally are out protesting now, Vinu.
Yeah, I think in this situation, I think everybody needs to take a step back, calm down, and ask yourself, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. So when you look back, I mean, where is this going to end, right? Are they going to now tear down anything related to St. Peter because Peter denied Christ? I mean, I don't know where this is going to end, right? And you have a situation here. I'm here on Wall Street. I'm in my office at 2 Wall. Right down a stone's throw away is Federal Hall, one of the most important landmarks in America. It's where George Washington took his oath to become the first president of the United States. It's been a concern of mine that there were going to be people here coming to knock that down. It hasn't happened yet, thank God, and hopefully there are police watching it, though I haven't seen too many around. Let's hope that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, let's hope, because just so people know, that bus kind of looks forward down toward Wall Street, and it's a magnificent setting, and if you go over there, you get a feel of so much of America right there. You've got free enterprise represented by the New York Stock Exchange, which is catty-cornered to it, and then Federal Hall, where it all started.
100%. And I think that this has got to stop. I mean, people are talking about taking down Lincoln's statue. You know, I just think that too many people are losing their minds. I think when you've locked people up for 3 months, tell them they can't do anything, and then something happens, and then boom, it just spirals. I think you get people back to normal, then you're going to have a more logical or reasonable debate.
Yeah, let me ask you about this, Amir. The mayor of Washington put Black Lives Matter on a Washington street in front of the White House, and then the mayor of New York was proposing to do that. I don't think that has been done, but I think they were going to put it on the street in front of Trump Tower. Does the mayor have a right to do that kind of thing legally?
Well, he probably has to get the vote from the city council, but that wouldn't be hard in New York City. I mean, I think they've got 50 council members, and 50 of them are left-wing progressive Democrats, and the other 2 represent Staten Island, which is, so there's really, that's just a rubber stamp. I mean, the problem is. I just want to go back a second. Yeah. I don't think it's due to people being cooped up too long. I think the fundamental root problem is that people, mostly young people, are not educated. Yeah. People who are pulling down Abraham Lincoln or pulling down statues of Ulysses S. Grant, or even trying to pull down the statue of Andrew Jackson across from the White House. I mean, the fact of the matter is Jackson was, first of all, the father of the Democrat Party. He's the one who gave the right to vote to people who were not wealthy property owners. He franchised everybody else who was just the poor folk to allow them to be part of the political process. That completely shifted and changed our political system as we know it. And he's the one who led our victorious Battle of New Orleans in the War of 1812, which definitively said that we are our own country. Before that, the British were still beating up on us. So they don't know their history. And when they don't know their history, they don't have a respect for it, and they don't have a respect for these monuments, they only have a superficial understanding. And I think that's what this painting the streets is also. It's just a superficial step. It doesn't do anything to actually change the dialogue or advance the narrative of social justice. Yeah,
and I don't know at what point somebody had to be perfect, because what you were laying out, the arguments on behalf of Andrew Jackson and why he's there, why he has the statue of him, because there's the other argument that people say he kind of initiated the Trail of Tears and sent Native Americans west. So there's that other side of it. But my point is, so many of these people were imperfect, and yet they helped build our country, and that's what makes us special. So, Allison, I know you have a lot of history. You live in Massachusetts. You've got Boston right there. Yeah. The birth of our country, a lot of it comes right out of there.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid we're erasing history. And Amir, I completely agree with you, because I would love to take a camera and go to one of these places where people are trying to tear down something, a monument, and ask them if they know the history behind it. Because I think a lot of these young people are getting their information on social media, I've seen it firsthand. My daughter's on TikTok, and the things that she shows me, she said, Mom, look at this is what happened. I said, where is no, this isn't happening. This is not correct. Where are you getting this information? People will make videos, they'll say things, they'll go on rants, and instead of researching, they're getting all their information from social media instead of books and schools and articles and adults that actually teach history.
All right. We're going to leave it there for now and come back, and we're going to talk about some things going on elsewhere. We've got questions about whether they should change the Washington Redskins name, which is an interesting debate. And also, we've got the situation, Jeffrey Epstein's friend, former girlfriend. She is now in custody, and there's some issues to talk about there. And what kind of names could come out of that investigation? We have more of American Agenda after this.